Hello everybody, I'm David Serlin, you can call me Serlin, and I'm going to teach you a few things about Smash. That's Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Nintendo's fighting game for the Wii. You may be wondering, who am I to tell you about this?
I'm a national tournament champion in Street Fighter. I'm also the lead designer and balancer of Capcom's Street Fighter HD Remix and Puzzle Fighter HD Remix, as well as Congregate.com's Kongai and my own card game called Yomi. I also help run the Evolution Fighting Game Tournament Series. Intro to Smash. Smash Bros. Is an unusual fighting game in that it's kind of like playing two games at once. On the one hand, it has the familiar fighting game elements where you try to control space in the 2D playfield and deal damage to the opponent, but your ultimate goal is not to take away the opponent's hit points. Instead, it's to knock him off the playfield. Here's some trivia for you. Pinball was actually part of the inspiration for Smash Bros. HAL Laboratories, the creators of Smash, actually worked on the game Pinball for the NES. You can see that influence with all the emphasis on knocking your opponents through the air, bouncing them off platforms, and each other. Smash Bros. Brawl even has actual pinball bumpers in the game. Let's talk about how you should approach a match of Smash Bros. Brawl. Your first goals are similar to that of any other fighting game. Deal damage and limit the opponent's options by controlling space. Moves like Bowser's Fire Breath or Fox's Laser are good for dealing damage, but they can't knock opponents far away for a KO. So eventually you'll have to switch gears and try to land a move that will knock the opponent as far as possible. If you try to use a big knockback move earlier when the opponent is hardly damaged, he won't fly back that far and he'll probably be able to recover. You can still attempt these moves though, because knocking the opponent off the main stage can give you a good positional advantage even if you know he's probably going to recover. But it's also okay to go for damage early on. Then when your opponent's damage percentage is high enough, you'll KO him outright. Remember, damage is nice, but knocking your opponent really far when he's at a high damage percentage is what gets you the KO. Let's look at the game with some red rectangles overlaid that highlight the parts of the playfield you control. Controlling space is a key aspect of all fighting games, so be aware of how your moves let you stake out territory. Here's some examples. Pikachu's lightning attack is very good at controlling space above him, though it is limited by platforms above him. Falco's teleport attack is good at threatening along the horizontal, and so are Diddy Kong's cartwheel and Wario's bike. Be aware that defensive maneuvers, such as dodges and rolls, can get around these moves, though. Watch how Falco avoids Wario's bike, and how Wario avoids Falco's teleport attack and then retaliates. Sometimes items and final smashes let you control an enormous amount of the playfield, so take full advantage of them when you can. Look at the madness that can happen with Pokeballs and assist trophies, for example. Remember that your enemy has to avoid all this stuff while you're safe from it. Fox's final smash monopolizes most of the playfield and it's really deadly. Ice Climber's final smash makes most of the playfield dangerous to enemies, but still safe to the Ice Climbers. And Pit's final smash fills up the air with allies, and that really limits the opponent's options for movement. The best kind of control, though, is when the opponent is off to the side of the stage and he's trying to get back. He has to care about getting back to safety, so control the space around the ledge and make it as hard as possible for him to recover. Remember, damage is nice, but knocking an opponent really far when he's at a high damage percentage is what gets you the KO.